Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to our workshop. Today, we're going to be talking about Google's local service ads, the Google guaranteed ads, in other words. If you're not aware of those yet, they are Google's answer to pay per lead platforms like Angie, Home Advisor, Howls, and so many of those other lead generation platforms. Except for these are leads coming through Google's search engine platform, and they're even guaranteed by Google, which we're going to talk about later. So here's what we're going to cover today. What Google local service ads are, where these ads are active, how this ads platform works, which is different than some of the normal pay-per-click platforms out there. We'll also talk about how you can jump on board with so many of the other remodelers, builders, and home improvement companies if you haven't already started these ads. We'll also talk about what it takes to get the best results from these ads. And then ultimately, how you can maximize your results with these ads and truly get the best return on investment for your marketing dollars. If you've been following my workshops in the past, I'm a former home remodeler and custom home developer, real estate investor. I'm also author of the book Internet Marketing for Contractors and Builders: How to Triple Your Sales by Leveraging the Power of Online Marketing. I'm also an associate member of the NAHB and Denver HBA, NARI, as well as the NKBA. I'm an admitted computer geek, and I've worked with remodelers, builders, and contractors all across the country. So our experience comes from working directly with companies in these industries all across the country. But this is what we do. We only work with builders, remodelers, and contractors to help them take their internet marketing to the next level. We eat, sleep, breathe digital marketing for our industry. In order to help you take your marketing efforts to that next level, we're not trying to work with every industry out there. You just cannot be an expert at that. Just like that old saying, jack of all trades, master of none. That's not the role we're trying to fill here. We're trying to be experts for the remodeling industry in particular. When it comes to being successful online, it comes down to what we call omnipresence. This is what amounts to being seen everywhere and anywhere online, thus increasing your brand awareness and maximizing your opportunities. The first principle to drive leads in order to maximize your opportunities, you can only have so many closed jobs if you actually get in front of those clients. It's like that baseball metaphor where you need more at bats at the plate in order to get more hits. So this could be done through organic SEO, through pay-per-click, paid ads, and even reactivating your current customer list, what we call customer reactivation campaigns. The second principle is to maximize your brand impressions. In other words, the more people see you and see your brand, the more likely they are to actually trust you, the more likely they are to want to work with you and to buy from you. And the third principle is to maximize conversions. This means making sure that your website is built to convert, making sure you have lots of great online reviews, and making use of automation to nurture those leads, what we call sales automation, sales follow-up. The key is that no matter which marketing channel we're talking about, and you may be using several different marketing channels, you must be effectively converting those leads in order to maximize sales. So what are Google local service ads? These are the 3 lead results that you see horizontally across the top of Google search results. These are the results with the most commercial intent, meaning Google knows what this consumer has typed in, and Google knows that if they're looking for a specific type of contractor based on that search query, that search keyword, that search phrase that they're using. In other words, it's a consumer with buyer intent. In this search here, the keyword is remodeling company Austin. So that has commercial intent. They're looking for a company to do business with versus a search for something like how much does it cost to remodel a kitchen, which could just be consumers in that planning mode, and it doesn't necessarily point to commercial buying intent at this particular time. It's kind of what we call the customer journey, where are they at in that customer journey? Are they just planning? Are they just kicking around ideas? Or do they have buying intent? They are looking for a company to work with. A couple of features of Google local service ads are that, one, Google guarantees these ads for consumers. Google guarantees that you will get what you paid for, and the contractor won't end up ripping you off in some way. This is part of Google's system for verifying contractors as well. Before you can advertise here, you have to get verified. And so we'll talk a little bit more on that later. And then number two, Google uses tracking numbers on these ads so that they can qualify and quantify these leads and charge you accordingly, which is a pay per lead fee. And the benefit is that the call is recorded by Google, meaning that you can dispute the lead charge with Google if you think it's not a qualified lead. For example, the consumer wanted new kitchen countertops instead of an actual kitchen renovation, or maybe the customer was outside of your stated service area that you put in your dashboard. And Google just had an update on that just a couple of days ago, where their AI has gotten so good at listening to these calls that they are pretty much automatically already marking leads as non-leads. So really, you're not going to have to dispute any. Google is stating that if anything, they're going to err on the side of marking more leads as non-leads than not. They don't want people calling in every time you make a query to dispute a lead. That takes human interaction. It takes time. It takes money. And so they have gotten their AI to a point where they're just going to know, nope, that was not a lead. We heard certain buzzwords. Their AI system heard those buzzwords, in other words. So I think that's going to really improve their system for disputing leads. Another great feature about these ads is that you get your own local service ads profile to optimize. So you can add all of your business info, you can define your service area, you can showcase all of your services, feature photos of your jobs, before and after photos, which work really well. And then, of course, it's going to include your Google reviews. And so the question is, why Google local service ads should matter to you. When it comes to looking for home service providers, a full 85 to 90% of consumers will use Google for that search. It is basically the number one place that consumers are looking when they need your services. Another important feature is that when it comes to Google search results, these local service ads come up first at the top of the page in both mobile search and desktop search on Google. They're even above Google's own PPC ads. Google controls this placement. They are trying to sell more of these ads. So it's in your best interest to use what Google is trying to sell you. Also, there is really no higher search intent type of prospect than the customer who is actively looking for services at that point in time, and having them find you is the key. And then lastly, with local service ads and any other marketing channel, really, you must have a plan to win. As a good friend of mine says, it's marketing, not magic. You must have a plan on how to handle these incoming leads, and then how to nurture these leads on a long-term basis. So how do Google local service ads impact search results on Google? When it comes to Google Ads, this is Google, right? So they get to choose to dominate the top of the search results page between Google's local service ads horizontally across the top and their own pay-per-click ads. What we know is that those two platforms get at least 25% of the clicks by users. That's a healthy share, and especially for users that automatically just click on whatever's at the top of the page, that means you're in the game already just by being a part of this platform. So this is really huge for advertising on Google. This can give you a big competitive advantage in capturing more sales opportunities. And then below that, you have the important maps section, which capture a lot of the traffic in that coveted 3-pack of maps results. And then the remaining traffic goes to the organic results below that, where companies like Yelp and Angie and the BBB and others work so hard to be prominently featured. You also see some of the well-positioned local contractors that make it into this organic section as well. We really strive hard to get our clients in that section. Kind of that omnipresence. You're in Google local service ads at the top, you're in the pay-per-click ads, you're in the Google Maps section, and you also have your website shown in the organic rankings. That's omnipresence. That's effective digital online marketing. So how do you get started in Google local service ads? First, you must complete Google's local service ads application. Part of this is Google running a background check on your company, which includes verifying your business license, your business insurance, as well as employee background checks. They want to make sure that you don't have criminals, people that are wanted by the law on there, or something like that, because they're guaranteeing these results. So they want to make sure you're a good, reputable company and that they can count on you to deliver a good service and they don't have to end up paying for it out of their pocket. I think it's up to like $10,000, I believe. And then once approved by Google, you pay for leads on a pay-per-lead basis. Generally, these lead prices for remodelers will be about $40 to $50 per lead, but this varies between different services, different geographical markets. Basically, different types of leads are going to cost a little differently. These prices may also shift over time as well, with a good chance that prices will go up over time, just like they did for Google PPC ads. Remember, when Google clicks were pennies on the dollar, even a few bucks per click, if you can remember back, if you were running pay-per-click back then, to where we're at now, and remodeling and roofing contractors, two of the highest price leads out there. Now they're costing contractors $30 to $40 just for some clicks, and then when you add up how many clicks it takes to get that lead, you could be looking at a couple $100 at a cost per lead in some of these more expensive industries in home improvement. So expect these lead prices only to go up. Knowing Google, they are certainly probably not going to go down in price over time. The great thing about Google local service ads is that you don't pay unless you get a qualified lead, unlike Google pay-per-click, Google PPC, in other words, where you're just paying for the click. You're not even paying for a legitimate call. You're just paying for the click. So my advice is to take advantage of these leads really sooner rather than later, because of their cost effectiveness and because of how effective they can be for your ROI. Again, here are the requirements for the remodeling industry, and realize that this may vary a bit amongst different home improvement industries. In general, though, we're talking about background checks for the business owner and possibly employees, as well as insurance and license verification. And then in terms of types of services that you can advertise for, this includes different types of remodeling jobs, general contractors and builders, countertops, flooring, amongst some other services. Some services in some cities, like interior design, may not yet be eligible for these local service ads. Google basically rolls out different services into different markets over time. some of the bigger cities in California where they roll these tests out, typically may see these tests rolled out sooner than, of course, the rural areas, which is going to take longer to get there for perhaps interior designers or some other small, more lesser known sub niches, if you will, within the remodeling industry. Next, you simply set a weekly budget for how much you want to spend. In general, you want to set a budget as high as you can, maybe even a bit higher, knowing that Google is not going to just send you that many leads typically. You can always adjust this in any day that you want at any point in time to monitor your lead flow. But if you set a budget at, say, 500 a month, 1,000 a month, don't expect to get that. Just because you said it doesn't mean Google's going to give that to you. So here's an example. You set a monthly budget for, say, $2,000 for Google local service ads, which means about $500 per week, which is $100 per day. And at the aforementioned lead cost that I talked about, let's just say $50 a lead, you can expect around 2 leads per day then, in the best case scenario. And then once you spend your budget, your ads will go offline. Now, so again, this is a good reason to set your budget as high as you can, and then just monitor your lead flow closely so that you know where you're at in your budget. You'll know if your ads have been turned off. So you can go, you know what, I'm just going to bump my ad budget back up there so I can get my ads back on. So this is something that we monitor on a daily basis for our clients, just so we don't have ads going offline. But you're also going to get different number of leads from day to day and week to week. So it will vary a lot, but you will never go over your designated budget if that's what you're worried about. If you set that budget, you're not going over it. Google will not allow that. And then finally, as I said earlier, you can dispute any leads that are not a part of your service offerings. For example, if you only list kitchen remodeling and someone calls in for just countertops, that is a lead that you can dispute. But if someone calls in for a small kitchen remodel that is well below your budget minimum, you're still going to have to pay for that lead. So you're going to have to pay for leads, not for qualified sales appointments. There's a big difference there, as we all know. Not every lead is equal. Not every lead is going to be the lead that you want, but you just have to realize that you're going to, pay for some leads that you don't want. The people that don't have the budget, people that are just kind of price shoppers, tire kickers. But in the end, you're still going to, you get 4 leads and you close one of those. Well, that job, $25,000, $50,000, $100,000 job is going to easily pay for those other $100 worth of leads, $150 that you didn't pan out. So great ROI no matter what. And then, what leads can be disputed? As I said, they've got their AI to a place that you're probably not going to have to dispute much, if anything, right now. But if you do have to dispute anything, solicitors are leads that can be disputed. People that are calling you, trying to sell you their own service, you don't have to pay for those leads. Spam calls, pre-recorded robocalls, those type of junk calls, you're not going to have to pay for those calls either. Those are not leads. Google's AI system is going to recognize that. Also, if you don't serve a location and that location wasn't listed on your profile that you set up in your local service ads dashboard, you won't have to pay for those calls as long as you decline that call. As long as that service area is not set up in your profile and then you decline that call, you're not going to have to pay for it. So remember, Google is listening to these calls. So you can't try to work any angles here. You don't service that area, but you think it's a good call, so you're going to accept it. Google's going to pick up on that. They're going to be listening for that area mentioned. They're going to compare that to your service areas. They're going to compare that to, are you trying to service this lead? Or did you say, sorry, we do not service that area? And then you hang up. Google's going to recognize all of that. You let the caller know that you decline that job. And then in the call, Google's going to pick up on that. And then calls for services that you don't offer are also calls that you're not going to have to pay for. Make sure you specifically designate your services on your profile and don't include any services that you don't offer. Feedback that we've gotten from active users since Google Local Service Ads launched has been that these leads are definitely cheaper than Google pay-per-click leads when it comes to your cost per lead and overall how that ROI is working out for you. And that's something that you should always be monitoring across all of your marketing channels. When you think about it, at an average of $50 per lead, and if you're closing 1 out of 4 jobs, kind of like that example I just gave you, that means your cost per customer acquisition is $200. Most remodelers I know will pay that all day long for booking new jobs. These leads are also of higher quality than the Angie Home Advisor leads. Google in general provides leads that have the best commercial intent, buyer intent, in other words. So these leads are always going to be better than those other lead generation platforms out there. Those other platforms are also farming those leads out to 5 or 10 different contractors. So now they're all fighting over that lead. Whereas when you get a Google local service ad lead, it's coming right to your phone. And if you can sell that job, sell that consultation, you've probably locked in that job. Stat I shared in our webinar last month is the companies that answer the phone call first generally get about 50% of the job. So these local service ad leads are coming straight to you. You don't have to chase this person down. All you got to do is answer your phone, and you already have a 50% chance at closing that lead. So that really, really increases your odds for sales success and growing your company, increasing your revenue. Now, these ads aren't perfect. You're still going to get some price shoppers and tire kickers out there, like I said before. So there will be that. But one key to success is just make sure you're following up quickly with these consumers. Quick follow-up within 5 minutes if you didn't catch that incoming call. That really helps you increase your conversion rates. And like I said, better yet, just always answer your phone and take those incoming phone calls, or have an answering service. Just the fact that people are talking to a real live operator means they're not going to necessarily feel the need to keep making a bunch of other phone calls to the other companies they see on Google. They're leaving a message. They don't know if you're going to get, if they're going to hear from you again. So they will start calling other companies. But if they talk to someone live, especially you who owns the business, knows how to talk to them, knows how to conduct an incoming sales call, you're going to have a heck of a lot better chance of closing that lead, at least booking that appointment. And as we all know, getting a potential customer back on the phone after you miss that call can really be an exercise in futility. Most of the time, you almost never get that customer back on the phone. They don't ever answer their phone. You leave voicemails, you send emails. They've probably already went with that next company they found on Google, because again, whoever answers the call gets a 50% bump in actually being able to serve that customer and do that job. But ultimately, these Google local service ads leads, they will provide you with a solid ROI. In that example above, closing 1 out of 4 leads at $50 a leads means you're booking remodeling jobs for a mere $200. It can, whatever your average job price is, 50,000, 75, 100, maybe even a couple 100,000, 500,000 if you only do big jobs. That's a really, really solid ROI in anyone's book. So really makes it worth giving these leads a chance. So again, why this is a no-brainer for remodelers and home improvement contractors. You show at the top of the results where your clients are looking. First thing they're going to see is right there at the top of Google. You're catching the first eyeballs on the page. That's going to give you a leg up already. You're only paying on a pay-per-lead basis, which can make it really economical for you. And it also has a much lower cost than Google pay-per-click. These leads are also typically higher quality leads, like I said, than the lead generation platforms out there, Home Advisor House and all the other platforms. There's so many of them now, where you have to compete with 5 or 10 other contractors, all in a race to see who could follow up from that lead notification first, and who gets lucky and actually tracks down that customer first. That's really a hit or miss, whether you actually can track them down. You may be paying for leads where you didn't even get to talk to the customer. And then the ability to modify your budget as needed as lead flow goes up or down is a great benefit that you can take advantage of as needed, as that budget fluctuates or as your cash flow fluctuates. So in a nutshell, there's really no reason not to sign up for these. They're not going to break the bank. There's usually only upside to this. And then how do you get signed up? If you work with us, and I see a few of our clients on here, it's easy. Just reach out to your account manager, and we'll get you signed up, or we'll go through the basics of it with you. Otherwise, it's easy enough for you to just sign up on your own without having to pay someone else to do that for you. Just go to ads.google.com, local service ads with the hyphens in there. It's not a complicated process. You just really got to follow the instructions, upload all the documents that they ask for, get those background checks done, make sure that you're proven your licensing and insurance, things like that. So really pretty easy. It just takes a little bit of time, and then they have to follow up and get back with you, but really a pretty easy process to follow. And so an all important question is, how does the ranking system work? There are many variables that go into play here. We talked about some great benefits already, but one downside to be aware of is that you can't just dial in a number for your budget and tell Google you want X number of leads each month, and voila, that's how many you're going to get. Unfortunately, it's not that easy. There's actually an algorithm at work here that determines who gets in that top 3 results that you see horizontally across the top of the Google search results pages. Remember, there are probably multiple contractors signed up for these already, multiple in your area. And if you're in a bigger metro area and still not signed up with your own company, there's probably already a lot of competition out there that are taking advantage of these. So just realize you're going to have to bide your time a little bit. You're going to have to do all the right things to satisfy this ranking algorithm. One big factor on who gets to be in the results is your proximity to your potential customers' locations. If there are multiple options for companies closer to the customer's location than you are, they are probably going to show in the results over you, given everything else being equal. They're probably going to be the ones in that top 3 results instead of you, just because they're closer to the customer. Not necessarily, but in general, this is how it typically works, we find. One thing that will help you get into results is the review score that Google calculates for you and the number of reviews that you have. Now, we've done webinar workshops previously on reputation management, how to get more reviews in the past. So if you need to, go give them a watch. You can find that on our YouTube channel. Maybe look in your email inbox. But obviously, the more good reviews that you have, the more Google will like you, and the more your potential customers will be interested in consulting with you on their project. And also, a factor is how interactive you are with the Google Local Service Ads platform. In other words, how responsive you are to customer inquiries, and then leaving notes in the dashboard to let Google know that you're staying on top of things. I can't emphasize this enough, folks. This is really crucial. So don't underestimate this. You need to show Google that you're interacting with these leads. There's a lot that you can do in there. You can mark the lead as followed up. You can make notes. Google's going to read those notes. So, put the right things in those notes. Really show Google that you're interacting, and Google knows they can trust you then to handle these leads better and not be the contractor that doesn't answer their phone for these leads. Remember, Google is a company trying to satisfy customers and deliver a great customer experience, just like you try to deliver a great customer experience for your customers. So help Google deliver that customer experience that they want to deliver by being the company that Google wants you to be when it comes to engaging and servicing these ads. And then also your business hours will be a factor in rankings. If you mark your business closed, for half the day, Google's not going to show your ads because they're going to know that you're closed. So you want to mark your hours as open as often as possible. Everyone thinks, well, I'll just mark 24/7. Well, yes and no. Yes, if you are going to answer your phone 24/7, or you have an answering service that does that for you. No, don't do that if it's just going to go to voicemail anyways. You think that you might be getting one up on Google, but Google's just going to see more missed calls, more voicemails, and think, you know what? We'll just put someone up there that actually does have an answering service or actually does answer their phone 24/7. Another factor is whether or not you've received any serious or repeated complaints about your company. You want to make sure that you're resolving those. You want to make sure you don't get those in the first place, if at all possible. So just really be dialed in on that. And then lastly, Google will try to spread out your budget over time. Google doesn't want you spending your entire budget early on in the billing period. So if your ad is generating leads more quickly than your budget can handle, you may see your rankings and page one visibility affected, or even see your ad pause temporarily in order for Google to more evenly spread out your leads, more spread out that budget. In other words, now Google also has an interest in distributing their leads to many different remodelers and home improvement companies in order to build their own customer base, versus just giving all the leads to one contractor that says, I'll spend $10,000 or $30,000 a month or whatever that unlimited budget is. Google would rather have multiple customers buying their local service ads versus just one customer buying all of them. How do you win with Google local service ads? So first, dial in your service area, optimize your profile with photos and reviews, and then set your budget as high as you can afford. Also, engage on the platform and make sure you're marking your jobs as complete. There's actually a sales pipeline within the dashboard. So move your customer through that pipeline and let Google know what's going on with that lead. Is it going to turn out to be a job? Deal with disputes as well. Don't pay for the leads that you shouldn't be. So make sure you're following up on any that Google hasn't figured out with its new AI system. We do this for our clients because there could be a lot of back and forth with Google. It takes time to get this resolved. So we handle that for our clients so they can worry about running their business and being the visionary that their company needs them to be. And then really important is to drive verified reviews. Do these jobs on Google's local service ads platform and then request feedback from the customer from within the platform so that you can build your review base for the platform specifically. The better you do this, the more successful you will be with Google's local service ads because you're getting reviews for jobs that came previously from a local service ad that was running. And make sure that you're targeting 85% booking rate in the reporting dashboard. Remember, what you measure, you can improve upon. So these are some of the biggest factors that will dictate your success on scoring more sales opportunities out there. The first thing to do is to dial in your profile. Open up your budget if you can. These really are some of the most cost-efficient leads, as I've mentioned. So put as much as you can, even $2,500 a week, because the chance of you actually hitting that is very, very unlikely. And since you or we will be watching the budget in the dashboard, you can always dial it down if leads start going crazy for you. Again, it's very doubtful that this will happen, but now at least you have the budget opened up so that you can stay visible in the ads at all times. And then update your ad schedule too. In other words, set your hours when you will be able to answer the phone. This isn't like Google Maps where some of you are setting your hours at open 24 hours a day. Google wants you answering the phone on these ads. So really try to do your best here. These kind of little nuances, and I repeat them because they're so important. But this is what's going to really, really help you rank and get into that 3-pack of horizontal results across the top of the page. And then Google, they're always measuring every data point in order to provide the best user experience for their customers. So you don't want those unanswered calls being a negative ranking factor for you. All other things being equal, if that's the only negative ranking factor you have, but another contractor, another competitor doesn't have that negative ranking factor. In other words, they're answering their phone all the time. Well, they're going to win. So it's really, all things being equal, who's going to really stand out and become the decathlete, with the Olympics just having happened. How many different ranking factors are you going to check off? Just like in the decathlon, they have to be great at 10 different sports. You want to be great at all 10 different optimizing factors that you can, or whatever, that number is. And then, make sure you're setting up your business biography as well, selecting all your exact services, your job types, your service areas, all that stuff. Get that really dialed in, as well as the service areas that you serve and the ones that you don't. This is going to be really crucial. Google's going to listen for that on these calls, and it's also going to, help you not show in areas that you don't service, and because you don't want to waste time with calls that you can't service anyways. And then update your business hours as needed, as we've mentioned previously. And then, really important, add photos. Add lots of photos to showcase your work. Make sure to use great photos. And make sure to use a really, really good photos with some personality for your primary photos, something that will really stand out, not just another picture of a kitchen remodel that you did or a bathroom or whatever. Do something that really stands out, maybe something that you've altered or edited or created with some text overlay on it or something like that. That's going to really stand out from the crowd and stand out from all those other competitors out there that are all kind of just putting the same for their cover photo, their primary photo, in other words. And then I talked about this before, but next is marking your jobs as booked. Once you successfully book a consult and win the job, go into your dashboard and mark that job as booked. Google, again, wants to measure every data point, every step along the way. So make sure to use the dashboard as they've intended. Think about this in terms of the customer journey. Google shows your ad, a Google customer then sees your ad, they make the call, you answer the call, you book the consult, and then you win the job. To Google, that is a great customer journey. That's the whole customer journey that they're going through, and that's a great user experience, or what we call UX. And that is what Google wants to see. Google now knows that you're a contractor that can be counted on and is the right company to call and to work with. And make sure that you archive opportunities that didn't convert. Again, this lets Google know what happened to these calls. And I'll say it again for effect, use this dashboard in every way you can. Show engagement so that Google knows you're taking their leads seriously. And then dealing with disputes for those leads that are outside your service area. Maybe the AI didn't catch it, that just rolled out. Maybe it's not in your scope of service. The other things that we previously talked about. There is a dispute button if you need to resort to that you can click in your dashboard for next to each lead, or you can submit a support ticket if you're not sure on that or not getting any help with disputing that. We want to make sure that you're not wasting your advertising dollars on leads that weren't actually a lead. One thing we're also seeing more of these days is that Google is almost got this dialed in. They're filtering these calls. That AI is really, really taking steps forward here in 2024. They're really getting that dialed in between leads and non-leads. So they're catching most of this ahead of time. Some of you on the call that might already be doing Google service ads, you're probably already seeing this a little bit. You've probably experienced, hey, they're already catching some of these leads or non-leads ahead of time. And then driving more reviews for your profile. One thing I want to mention here is that reviews on your Google business profile, your Google Maps listing, in other words, These reviews also carry over to your Google Local Services Ad dashboard. So the more reviews you have on your Maps listing, the more that will be those reviews will be featured on your Google Local Services Ad listing as well. Your dashboard also features a button where you can drive more what we call verified reviews in quotations. In other words, you're making the review requests right from within the ads dashboard to a customer that Google has already listened to that call in the ads dashboard. You've already marked that call as a booked job, and you've made notes within your dashboard on it. And now you're sending out the review request right from the dashboard. So that gives all these particular reviews more credibility in Google's eyes. That's how they become verified reviews. Remember, Google's watching this entire customer journey. And the one thing about this type of review is that it will show in your local services ad listing, but it won't show in your Google Maps listing, whereas Google Maps reviews will show in your services ad listing. So it's kind of a one-way street in that regard. Just just so you're aware of that, in case you're seeing discrepancy in review counts and wondering what's going on, why do they show in one area and kind of travel one way, but reviews don't travel the other way back to the other side of the street, the other listing, in other words. So just so you understand that. And then obviously, always focus on providing great service and best in class customer service. Give people a reason to want to leave you that 5-star review. One more note on these verified reviews. Google is now starting to show that badge, Google Verified Job, which lets people know that this was a real customer that booked this job and you got a real review from a real customer. This obviously lends a lot more credibility to the review and to your company, as opposed to all the fake reviews that we're seeing out there and have been seeing for years. And then booking rate. You want to make sure to keep your booking rate at 85% or better. You can do this rate in your dashboard where it shows your leads in that sales pipeline. It shows your booking rate. And by marking those leads as booked, you're giving Google the data points that it's looking for in order to make the determination that you are the right contractor for customers to be working with. Okay, then to sum things up here, what are the best methods for increasing your lead flow from your local service ads? The biggest factor is getting as many leads as possible, and then to open up your budget. Those kind of work hand in hand, right? When it comes to paid leads, there may not be a better and lower cost per qualified lead option than Google Local Service Ads. And then make sure to expand your service area, your job types, your ad schedule, your business hours. You want to give yourself the best chance of showing up in as many search queries as possible, as many searches as people are doing. Now, obviously, you want jobs within your scope of service, but just make sure that you're not limiting your results based on not having your listing properly optimized. We talked about this a lot already, but make sure to keep up with your reporting within the dashboard. Mark your leads as booked, as scheduled, add notes wherever possible, and then archive jobs that you have completed. And of course, request those verified reviews on every job through your dashboard. All things being equal, typically it's he who has the most reviews that wins, especially with Google Local Service Ads. Now, all of these factors combined gives Google the sense that you are indeed the right company for customers to be calling on, and gives them the reason that puts you up there at the top of the results. So if you're already working with us, get with your account manager and let us help you get set up. If you're not a client of ours, go to Google and get signed up as soon as possible. Go through all of their verification steps, their background checks, etc. And then make sure that you're putting tracking in place to gauge your return on investment. This means the use of a tracking number and also keeping track of these leads separately so that you know what your booking rate is and what your closing rate is as well. This includes leveraging the platform, using it in every way you can, keeping up on that data entry to list updates and or mark jobs as closed, and keep at it with these ads while the ROI makes sense, which at this point in time, the ROI has been great for everyone using these ads. So if the ROI is good, then use that channel. If you're not getting a good ROI, then that's when you need to start thinking about maybe this isn't the right move for you. But we haven't reached that point. We're seeing a lot of great results. At this point, I want to open up to any further questions that you may have. Does anyone have any questions on how the platform works, expected ROI, how to have more success with these ads? Mary says she's an interior designer and doesn't see local service ads when she does a search in Google. Yeah, Mary, there is a good chance that they are not available yet in your area. Not all services and industries are served with Google local service ads. So keep an eye out for them to show up in your area. Depending on how big your town is, you may or may not get this opportunity sooner rather than later. Being an interior designer, a lot of the ads aren't showing for that industry yet, more just for remodeling, general contracting. And Philip asked about just requesting reviews directly from customers. Philip, you can do that, of course, but by doing it through your ads dashboard, you show that activity to Google, and Google likes seeing that kind of engagement. They're more likely to give leads to companies that are more active and really getting engaged in that dashboard and taking more care of the leads that they're getting. Google wants to see that you're doing that you're actively engaging with these folks. Any other questions? Enrique just put in, just asking about getting leads for roofing along with his remodeling services. Okay, yes, Enrique, you'll be able to get leads for both of your service types if you list both of those in your service types in the dashboard, the service types that you offer. But to be fair, to be transparent here, you're going to be competing with dozens of other roofing companies that focus strictly on roofing services only. They probably got hundreds of reviews. So they're probably going to get the lion's share of those roofing leads. So I would say stay focused on your remodeling services primarily, but you can add roofing to your services and you might get one or two that way. But Google generally is going to be looking for the companies that really fill out that dashboard and their website really speaks to roofing only. That's just showing Google that they are more the expert in roofing than possibly you are. If you need any help with these ads or any other issues you're having with your digital marketing, or maybe just need some guidance in the right direction, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Give us a call, ping us online. We'd be happy to just chat, give you some guidance, help you get focused on success. Our goal is to try to put as much education out there, move your company forward, move the industry forward, and really be the preeminent source of education out there for remodelers, builders, home improvement contractors. Thank you again, everyone, for devoting some of your time with me today. I really appreciate it. I hope you've gotten some good value from this training today, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the next training next month. Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you around.